This looks like I'm about to do an apology video for some incredibly negative comments. You can come up here. That's okay. Come on. But I'm not. If anything, it's an apology letter to myself. I got my girl here, Luna. Now I'm going to say this. You better not jump off the bed and chase your sister and take down all the lights, because if you do, well, I don't know. But this is what grief taught me. And in order for me to expand upon what grief taught me, I'm going to have to work my way backwards. So this is kind of going to be long-winded. I'm a Gemini rising, so I'm a yapper. But I have a lot of, like, roughly 2.5, almost 3 months of things I want to touch upon. But for starters, let me say, I went in with the intention to record a monthly video, kind of like a recap style vlog, to kind of just, one, hold myself accountable, two, give myself something like creative to do in between acting jobs while I'm trying to like navigate next steps of my life, so on and so forth. And so that was my initial plan. And the reason I'm making this is because I want to start back up on these things, but I also have a lot of shit in my brain I need to get out, for lack of better words. So we're going to work backwards a little bit. I have a book of journal entry notes that I'm going to be referencing, that I have been using to kind of get a better understanding of like what I do kind of want to touch on. Here we go. And this is an excerpt I wrote the other day to kind of explain so we can work backwards. So February and March 2026. Well, when January came and passed, I had a plan to film a little throughout the month for a vlog style video, as I stated. That was the plan. And then life happened. February 17th is the day in which my life took a turn, and the universe told me to stop. Stop putting others first. Stop taking myself so seriously, and stop allowing life around me to keep going. I'd spent the last 2 years dealing with loss, grief, pain, abuse, sickness, sadness, and dread, all packaged up in a bowl of shit and grief. I broke. Broke is a light term to put it, honestly. In layman's terms, I fucking lost it. With the love and encouragement from my parents, thank God for them, I went to Vanderbilt Psych. I got put in outpatient so like intensive outpatient program, to be exact. I did not have to do inpatient stay or PHP, which is where you'd go in, where you'd like be staying there, be monitored, everything. And then PHP is kind of a little bit more intense, but you do get to go home. And they told me I had to only do IOP because I've already been in with a psychiatrist. I've already been in with a therapist. I've already done EMDR. It's like, does that make me mentally really like good? Do I get a participation trophy? They didn't find that funny. I did. But with that being said, it kind of led to my breaking point that I needed to have. Everyone around me in my life who I so dearly love and loves me was able to kind of see that it was approaching and going, when's it going to happen? Now, for context, I want to add, If you do not know, the last couple years of my life, starting, and I want to say about end of 2023, more so, just went. That's also, if you are into astrology at all, that was me approaching my Saturn return. Not only was it approaching my Saturn return, I have a Capricorn stellium in the 8th house. So, if you know what that means, it followed a lot of that. But there's a lot of like growth, rebirth, death, home, and what have you, themes that exist within that. So, I'm not going to go through everything, but I want to give some insight because of I want to give insight so I can talk about the things that I've learned, because it will assist in the understanding. So, first thing is my brother, not my youngest brother, but like my middle brother. I'm the oldest and the only daughter. Had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and that is a terminal illness. And we knew we did not have forever with him, but he started getting sick around September of 2023. Actually, it was like July of 2023. And because around that time was when I was like, you know what, I think I want to start dating again. So I was in a mindset of like, I want to potentially start dating. I want to start looking. And my brother kept getting sick, and my brother just kept getting sick. And I may get my timelines confused because 2025 was such a blur, and I do know we're in 2026. But his health just started absolutely deteriorating. And he would be sick, he would not be, he would be sick. He would not be, he'd be in and out of the hospital, and then he'd be fine for a little bit. And that was kind of like our norm, that, and my mom was his full-time caretaker, that there was going to be stints where he was going to be really sick. And that just kind of how it was for a bit. And in this time, I entered in a relationship with this person. I'm going to use they, them pronouns because that was what they preferred. So I'm going to refer to them as they the entire time. But everything was really good. I feel like we started hanging out, started talking around the end of 23 and started seriously dating in 24, and things were really, really good until they weren't. And I want to preface this to say this person had a lot of good to them, but they also had a lot of darkness inside of them that I feel was overpowering their ability to love themselves and love somebody else the way that they need to. And it kind of got bad. It became very emotionally neglectful and abusive, and a lot of control from them onto me. Wanted to have like every part of me as their being, which does not work well in any relationship, much less like a healthy romantic relationship. But I have this problem, because I call it a problem because it's a problem to me, of seeing the potential in a person of who they could be, not who they're currently showing me. And sometimes it does bite me in the ass, and this time it did. And during this time, my grandma died. Right when our relationship started getting this is when it got pretty bad, was my grandma was my very, very best friend, to the point of where when she was in hospice, and when the whole family and all of the grandchildren and everything, we all came down, gathered around her bed, and basically said our goodbyes and everything. She looked at me and all of the other siblings and cousins and said, "Now you all know Kendall's my favorite," with a resounding, "Yeah, Grandma, we know," from them. So it was like just a known thing in my family that I was her favorite. She was my favorite, but she had been sick for a while, and I had been, kind of helping take care of her some, visiting her a lot, and watched her deteriorate literally and physically in my arms sometimes. And she passed. And I had not lost somebody in a while, and that it hurt. It was hard. And the reason it was so difficult was because this is when my partner at the time really started getting mad at me for grieving. And when I grieve, I didn't know this, but when I grieve, I want to be alone. I want to sit and process my thoughts. I want to write. I want to sit in silence and solace with the idea that this person, their physical being, is no longer around me, and how I can still connect to them on the other side, from this side, as above, so below. That's something that I have to do for myself, because I tend to intellectualize everything and try to put a meaning behind everything. It's for grieving, I kind of have to do that, and then in order for me to get to the emotions. But that all got stunted because grieving's bad when you're dating somebody, apparently, and I understand they wanted to be there for me, but at the same time I'm I don't even know how I'm going to be there for myself. And this did get exacerbated because my brother was sick, and the relationship started getting really shitty. There were really good times, and then there were really bad times, and I kind of didn't understand. And then my godmother, who was one of my favorite people in the entire world, basically told she did not have a long time to live. She had CP, cerebral palsy, and her body was just failing her. And every day I had... Do you want to talk? You want to be quiet? Every day it was kind of a toss-up of, is she going to go today? And it started a lot of pain. And so on top of all of this, at 24, the first half of 24 was when my relationship was really rocky. Also, I want to add that I have Ehlers-Danlos, a chronic illness, but I pretty much had it completely under control until this relationship, and it just left me physically feeling like shit all the time. But I didn't know why, because, me, who is so outspoken, and I have no problem saying exactly what's on my mind, would never be in an abusive relationship. Okay, Kendall, you're a dumbass for thinking that, because you don't know how to set your boundaries with relationships. But the pain that, of that alone throughout the year, I was dealing with. And I hid it very well, and then it became too much. And then in July, my brother, or my family and I, we took a trip to Chicago. And then my brother just got really, really sick. He was in and out of the hospital even more. And he was in ICU, I think, about a month and a half in August. And then, August to, July, literally, the day after we got back from our vacation was when he started getting really sick. And he was not sick from, his body didn't fucking work. And so he was getting pneumonia, and which is a very common thing for people with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So he was in the ICU for a very long time, and he got out of the hospital. And my godmother started getting incredibly ill. She was pretty much not ambulatory anymore. She was not able to move her body. And the beginning of October came. And my brother had to make the decision for himself to get a trachea surgery. Which would also inevitably be the thing that also took his life. We lost my brother on October 30th, 2024, which was a pain I don't think I'd ever knew I would understand. And then trigger warning, I should have said this from the fucking beginning, but there's a kind of emptiness that sits with you when you watch someone die, especially a loved one. Especially if you're an older sibling, you'll understand. Your younger sibling, your baby brother, you're supposed to protect them, and then I know we're getting too emotional, isn't it? I know. Are you telling me you need to go outside? Because, God forbid, the intention not be on me for 5 fucking minutes. The pain of watching a sibling pass away is unbearable. The light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, was that he was able to be an organ donor, which we never thought he would be because his body was failing. But I think he was able to donate to five humans, and then also to science to find a cure for Duchenne. So that was, I don't know how to put it. It's I'm so grateful that he was able to help those people's lives, but at what cost? And that before he passed, I had ended things with my partner because I could not exist a day without being yelled at, being belittled, being shamed for anything. If I was sleeping wrong at 2 a.m., that would lead to yelling and waking me up at 2 a.m. by screaming at me because I'm not sleeping the way that they wanted me to. And hearing me say that now, I'm what the hell, Kendall? How did you not realize? But in the moment, I think I just wanted to, my life was kind of falling apart and I wanted something to go right. And so if I controlled the narrative of how it went, little did I know I had absolutely no control over it. So I had to leave. And the only reason I did is because I had family and friends who really were like, what do you need? I got you. Like, I'll hold you to this. And I am grateful that they did that, because I don't know if I'd be able to have left on my own. And then, yeah. But I am happy that I was able to get out of it before my brother passed, so that way I could actually be there with my brother, grieve my brother, see my brother off to the other side. And his passing came, and then my godmother had her first suicide attempt. And I want to be very blatantly honest when I say I don't blame her at all. With a disability, this is something that's not really talked about a lot, and I know YouTube is probably going to flag the shit out of my video for all the things that I'm talking about, but this does need to be discussed. Very few people with disabilities live to be a certain age. They do sometimes, but I think a lot of medicine and a lot of the system is banking on them not making it long, and because there's not an incredibly beautiful track record of that. So with that being said, no one knew how to heal my godmother. It was basically well, you're gonna die either by going paralyzed and your body's gonna forget what to do, or eventually your lungs are gonna collapse, one or the other. And so she wanted to take the control into her own hands. And I can't say I blame her. And there's so many other countries that do assisted suicides. And it is human euthanasia, because you think about it this way: your dog is sick and there's no way to heal them. You're not going to keep your dog alive because you want to have him around. And so I think she wanted to have say on how the story ended, but the story didn't end. It just added like 7 more chapters of trauma to everyone involved, and it was a mess, put in politely. Then, we got through that, and then we approached into 2025. I turned 30 at the end of 24. I do spend my 30th birthday with one of my very best friends up in New York with her family, and it was wonderful. And then a couple months later, we had a second suicide attempt from my godmother. And it did not go again. This time was worse because I think she was determined, but it left her almost completely immobile. Her body was deteriorating. And I want to, again, preface, I don't blame her at all, and any negative comments on anything will be deleted, because this was her journey, and that's it. Am I angry that when she did it, like, just a couple weeks after my brother passed away? Absolutely, I still am. That's something I do have to work through. But not right now. And then I got into therapy. I wanted to work on the trauma that I've been dealing with from loss. And in this time, my mother, like my mom, had to check herself into Vanderbilt. My dad was like losing it. Both my parents were addicts, so like in the back of my mind, I'm always scared that like is this gonna be the thing that sets them off? Is this? And so it's all my grieving. Every single time I went to grieve, something happened. Someone got sick. My grieving got taken away from me, or like a multitude of different things happened, and so my grief never came. And then July 21st, and my godmother passed away. I got the call from my godfather, and I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't expect the pain when it did, but I kind of didn't really know what to do. I called my best friend and immediately told her. And then I called my mom, and I was like, I don't know what to do now. And so I started to try to grieve. And then I couldn't. I literally just couldn't. It couldn't come. No matter how hard I tried. No matter what I did. That grief was so like far pushed down in my body that it was not coming up. No matter what I did, because I was so scared. I was like, if I start grieving again, someone else is gonna die, because this has happened too many times in the last year and a half in my life. I cannot keep doing this. Like, in a year and a half, I lost the three closest people in my life, and a relationship, and myself. Like, I feel like all within it was a lot. And so I was like, I'll grieve later. And later kept being later and later and later. Until we get to February 17th. And I lost it. I mean, it was a mess. I just called my mom in hysterics. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm terrified. I'm scared that if I don't get help, I will want to hurt myself. I don't want to right now, but I am. I know that if I don't take care of myself right now, I will want to, and I don't want to do that. So I went to Vanderbilt, and like I said earlier, I checked myself in. I didn't have to be admitted into inpatient, but I did outpatient, which was IOP. Then for 6 weeks, for like 5 hours a day every day, and it was brutal. One fun thing I did learn was that my OCD is significantly worse than I thought. So yay for that. I kind of was starting to get it under control because my psychiatrist has me on Prozac for my OCD. But when I was talking to the psychiatrist at Vanderbilt, she was like, so you know that your fear of grieving and all of these things happening is, yes, it's a trauma response, but it's also OCD too. I'm like, no, it's not. No, my OCD is for other things, not that. Okay. But one of the most beautiful things that came out of it was I had 6 uninterrupted weeks to focus on me for honestly probably the first time in my entire life. Since I was little, most of my life was always make sure this person's okay, do this, be the caretaker at too young, be the protector at too young, be the oldest child, be the oldest sister, be the pseudo mom too young. Like so many different things where I was like never able to fully focus on myself. And then the opportunity came to me in a very brutal way. And it's funny because on February 17th, I wrote down everything that was occurring on that fucking day. Hold on. And let me find it. Because, like I said, if you understand this, you're going to be like, child. Okay, so February 17th. It was the new moon. So I was also at my my coven circle, and I talked about how I was like, I just need a change in my life. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And so it was the new moon. It was the last day of my Saturn return, like fully. It was the lunar eclipse. It was the Lunar New Year, and the start of the year of the fire horse, and for Chinese New Year. All at once. And I also left my job, and I'm not a type of person who doesn't have a plan. Like my plans have plans, but the trying to structure everything was, I think, what got me here. And I feel like my godmother she was very woo-woo as well, and had a big say in this nudge kind of aiding in situations where it's like, okay, you're not going to do this on your own, so on the forces beyond us, we gotta nudge you. And nudged I was. But it taught me so much about myself. And I had all these plans of, while I'm in IOP, I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to accomplish all these things. I don't want to say idiot, because I wasn't an idiot. You don't know what you don't know, but it set me up to be incredibly disappointed in myself that I was not doing all of these things that I wanted to do. And it's like, heifer, that's one of the reasons you're in here. You need to just focus and learn and listen and go through these different types of therapy and work through your grief and your OCD and your trauma and today is Thursday, April 9th, and I feel hopeful. It's a weird thing for me to feel because I'm not used to feeling that. I don't know what's next. I know what I want to be next, but I'm also scared to talk about it, because if I talk about it, then the power of it goes away, and I'm so scared that every time I talk about something, it's not going to happen anymore, or it's going to go bad. Is that my OCD talking? Probably. But did my psych also just re-up my Prozac? Yes, she did. So that's something that I'm definitely wanting to keep on getting better, because it's I think I'm 80% OCD, 20% ADHD. ADHD just makes me incredibly annoying, but my OCD is debilitating. Especially when losing control of my life the past couple of years, I was like, okay, shit, here we go. But I want to create again. I want to be back into doing the things that I love. I'm auditioning again, which I missed it so much. I'm wanting to film again, get back into those things, and act again, and make music with my friends, and draw, and go visit my friends in New York, and stay with them, and all these plans and stuff I have. But it's also I need money. And that living in a society, in a world that is you can't do anything without money, fucking sucks, because it's but I know that I can never I don't want to say never, but it's so hard for me doing a corporate 9 to 5 type gig, because when you're neurodivergent, a 9 to 5 type thing is not impossible, but it sucks the life out of you. It sucked the life out of me, not in a bad way, because the people I worked for were incredible and wonderful and lovely, and I'll never be able to thank them enough for being there for me during such difficult times. But the idea of not creating art on a planet that is pure art was so draining for me, mentally and emotionally and spiritually. So here we are today. How I move forward, I don't know. I'm trying to take everything with a cliche step at a time, going one day at a time, because I feel like that's all I can really do. Because if I put too much expectations on myself, I will never meet them. And that's not a dig on myself. That is I tend to set unrealistic expectations so that I can't meet them. So I can go, oh, there you go. Is that a form of control over my life? Possibly. I don't know. But you're not my psychiatrist, and I'm not yours. And no one of us is not getting paid. Actually, neither of us are probably getting paid for this. So I'll save that for my actual psychiatrist and therapist. But if you made it this far, I want to say healing, for one, is not linear. There's no right way to heal. There's no wrong way to heal. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. You heal how you need to, but you do have to heal. You have to take care of yourself. You have to love yourself, and you have to honor yourself. Don't accept the bare fucking minimum from people who claim that they're going to get better and they're not. And I say this to you, but this is also, I need to say this to myself. Spend every single minute like it's going to be our last, because it very well may be. And this is our only time on earth in this soul, in this current body. And we need to honor it, love it, and put back into the earth and the world which she so often puts into us. Be kind to trees, be kind to animals. Don't fucking litter. Don't litter. If you litter, don't litter. Are you a child? Don't litter. Be kind to humans. All humans. Fuck guys. And just love yourself, okay? This is also me saying this to me, so Kendall, I need you to, when you're editing this, go back and watch it and listen to all this as well, because tomorrow, we don't promise tomorrow. And we're not promised tomorrow. And it's not fair for us to live our lives for other people as we watch ours dwindle away. Anyway, this has been going on very long. I will definitely be doing another video. I do like concepts like these. I love to read. I love to intellectualize a bunch of different things. I have a bunch of thoughts about everything all the time. I have so many books that I'm reading, so many different topics I want to touch on, so many different things, and I kind of like this idea of sitting and just yapping and talking, and I don't know. We'll see. So, am I gonna go back to like the monthly things? Probably not. Um, because if I can't do that, I'll be incredibly disappointed with myself, and that's one of the reasons I'm in this situation. And I don't want to be disappointed in myself anymore. I want to be proud of myself, and I want to be kinder to myself. It's like if I do end up filming a month thing, beautiful, great, wonderful. But I'm not setting out that it happens every single time. Thank you for watching. I will see you when I see you. And I hope you have a good day. Okay.